my weary heart forgets to sing, doubt becomes a crown I bring.
When the heart forgets to sing, always be. Devotional series. Episode 7. When my weary heart forgets to sing, and doubt becomes a crown I bring. Here is something that does not get said often enough in Christian circles. You are going to have days where you forget to sing. Not days where you dramatically abandon your faith. Not days where you make a definitive decision to walk away from everything you believe. Just days. Ordinary, accumulating, sometimes unremarkable days. Where the song is not there. Where the heart that yesterday felt warm and close to God, today feels quiet and far away. Where the worship that came easily last Sunday feels like a language you have temporarily forgotten how to speak. That is not failure. That is not a signal that something has gone irreparably wrong. That is what it means to be a believer living in a human body, in a fallen world, in the ordinary texture of a life that has good seasons and tired seasons, and seasons where everything in you is simply running lower than it was. The extraordinary thing this lyric does is name that reality, plainly, without drama, without shame, and place it directly inside a song that is fundamentally a declaration of triumph. Because both things are true at the same time. The love is unbreakable, and sometimes the heart forgets to sing. One does not cancel the other. The song knows this, and it wants us to know it too. When my weary heart forgets to sing. The word weary is doing something specific here. Not broken, not rebellious, not hardened. Weary. There is a meaningful difference between a heart that has turned away and a heart that is simply tired. Weariness is not apostasy. It is the honest, human condition of a person who has been carrying things for a long time, who believes, who loves, who is trying, but who has arrived at a place where the energy for outward expression has run thin. The writer of Hebrews saw this coming. He wrote to a community that was exactly here, not walking away in dramatic fashion, but quietly, gradually, growing weary under the weight of a life of faith that had cost more than they expected. And his word to them was not rebuke. It was simply, hold on. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. That phrase, if we do not give up, assumes the temptation to give up is real. Paul is not writing to people who have never felt the pull of weariness. He is writing to people who know it well, and he is telling them that the weariness does not have to become surrender. You can be weary and still held, tired and still loved, running low and still in the hands of the one who does not run low. The heart that forgets to sing is still his heart. He has not released it just because it has gone quiet. And doubt becomes a crown I bring. This is the more dangerous movement, and it is worth slowing down for, because it describes something most of us have done without quite having the language for it. Doubt by itself is not the problem. The Psalms are saturated with it. Thomas brought his directly to Jesus. John the Baptist, from prison, sent messengers asking whether Jesus was really the one, or whether they should be looking for someone else. Doubt is the honest wrestling of a mind taking faith seriously enough to feel the weight of it. God is not threatened by our questions. He has never once turned away a heart that came to him honestly, however broken the words. The movement this lyric names is subtler. Doubt becomes a crown, an identity, the defining thing we carry into God's presence, not as a wound to be healed, not as a question to be answered, but as the primary thing we have to say about ourselves. The shift from "I have doubts" to "I am my doubts." From doubt as something we are working through to doubt as something we have become. And when doubt becomes a crown, something else happens underneath it. We make ourselves the subject of the story. The focus moves from God, His nature, His faithfulness, His unchanging love, to us. Our inadequacy, our inconsistency, our failure to believe well enough or feel strongly enough or hold on tightly enough. We become, in our own eyes, the problem. And the weight of being the problem is a weight that will crush you because it was never yours to carry. This is an identity problem at its core, and it is one that recurs. It does not resolve itself once and stay resolved. It is a pattern the enemy returns to precisely because it is effective. Because a believer who is consumed with their own spiritual inadequacy is a believer who has stopped looking at God and started looking at themselves. And nothing good grows in that direction.
This is exactly why the eternal, unchanging nature of God's love is not just a comfort in this moment. It is the specific, necessary answer to this specific, recurring problem. Because here is what is actually true. What is true regardless of how you feel about yourself on any given day. Regardless of what the crown of doubt is telling you. Regardless of how loud the voice of self-condemnation has gotten. God has not changed. Not since yesterday, when the singing came easily. Not since the season when everything felt close and warm and clear. Not since before the weariness set in or the doubt took up residence. He has not shifted, has not cooled, has not quietly revised his assessment of you based on your performance. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews 13:8. And that sameness is not a theological abstraction. It is the ground under your feet when everything else is moving. Our attitudes change. Our self-perception changes, sometimes daily, sometimes hourly. The way we feel about ourselves is one of the least stable things about us, shaped by circumstance and fatigue and the echo chamber of our own worst thoughts. We are not reliable narrators of our own worth. We never have been. But He is. And He says, you are loved, held, His. Not because you have been consistent, but because He has. Not because the crown you brought today was worthy, but because the hands that receive it are the same hands that have always been open to you and always will be. The doubt does not define you. He does. And He has not changed His mind. If the song has gone quiet today, if doubt has been sitting a little too long and starting to feel like a permanent address, then let this be the word that finds you. You are not the problem. You are the one He loves. Those are not the same thing, and it matters which one you build your identity on. Bring the crown, lay it down, and look up at the one whose love for you has not moved an inch while everything else was shifting. He is the same as He always was, and He is holding you still.
From lost to grace, your glory shines through time.